Hey guys, what's up? I am here to give you guys my recap on Shokugeki no Souma, Shin no Sara on episode 5, or you could call it Food Wars, the fourth plate on episode 5. Now this episode right here picks off what happened in last week's episode, and we get to see the other match in this episode, which was really crazy, intense, and surprising, and I was looking forward to that match for a long time. If you guys don't really keep up with me updating on my manga, you guys would realize that I actually became a manga reader to Food Wars. So, if anything else, let's just get this started. We have to it that the judges are trying to look into the center of the dorayaki, and they end up realizing that she put apple confiture in it, which apparently the apple is the star of this gem. It also includes ginger. The vivid impression that An's been talking about is when the jam is combined with the chunks of apple and the dorayaki cake is actually wonderful. So you thought that the ginger is what Aldini was chopping up, am I correct? As An asked Megumi. She therefore says, yeah, Takumi-kun's needle ginger, and I actually chopped up Takumi's needle ginger into smaller pieces. I got the idea when I heard that Takumi-kun was going to use ginger, you know? I thought that maybe when you bit into the center after eating the mildly sweet shironen paste, the tartness would fill your mouth, bringing out even on an even deeper flavor, which is the apple butter and confiture, but the difference is in the flavors and change they cause. That's the final trump card of a dorayaki. Which apparently, like, one of the judges says, your effort to put so many surprises into a single dorayaki was commendable. However, the slight bitterness in the confiture at the end upstages the mild sweetness of the shiron, you know? And this is where Megumi actually lost the battle. It was 2-1. Momo won 2 matches, but Megumi Momo's dish got 2 votes, but Megumi managed to at least get 1 on side, you know? Which apparently she says I had to give her credit for her cleverness and the possibilities she brought out, you know? And Souma and everyone else told Megumi, hey, it's okay, you did your best out there, you know? Etc. But, you know, Momo actually does not see Megumi cute at all. Which, do you know what that means? I think she seems to respect Megumi now and she's not looking down at her. Let's not forget, you know Ishiki-senpai, right? That guy says Momo will usually think you're cute, but she's actually looking down on you, which is why she does that. But knowing that she can't find Megumi cute no more, she's not looking down at her in a certain way of disrespect or something. At first, when I read it in the manga, I thought it was just disrespectful, you know. But in the end, when I realized it's almost the other way around, thanks to Ishiki-senpai's pointing that out, then it looks like to me she seems to have a little respect for Megumi to actually bring out a fight like that. And we see Takumi's cooking skills, and he's actually slowly sauteing the thinly sliced beef into sesame oil, bringing out its aroma. And once the meat's cooked enough, he'll add the ginger and reduce it. And it looks like to me he's using shigureni or something, which is a Japanese dish that has a real rich, sweet flavor with a little bit of spice from the ginger that delights your tongue. And Hinako, on the other hand, says, yeah, it's the complex variety of flavors was inspired by the coming and going of Shigure showers, you know? It's a dish with many layers here and there. Even someone's like, hey, man, that's really impressive. You guys show me that. But apparently, Aizen-senpai seems like he has a nasty idea of what to do to ruin Aldini. And here's where it goes. After cutting up his beef, you know, it's heated meat, it's ultimate roast beef, and he ends up using horseradish along with some fresh cream, yogurt, and anchovies. And we see to it that he's going to be making cream sauce to go with the meat here and there, and Takemichi is making pizza dough, you know, or in other cases he's making pizza. Like he's lightly applying the sauce to the pizza dough and adding the carefully sauteed beef shigureni as the topping, as well as onions and mozzarella cheese on it. And we see to it that he's going to be baking that pizza. It's going to take about 12 minutes at 250 degrees Celsius. He just has to bake it long enough for the crust to turn a nice golden brown, you know? And forno accendere, which means fire ignite in French, if I remember, in Italian or French whatsoever. Forgive me, okay? I don't remember. I only know like 1 or 2 languages nowadays. well, the second language doesn't count, but whatever. But we see to it that Aizen Senpai says that Takumi Aldini is done because he's using artichokes. And we get to know something about artichokes, which Aizen Senpai ends up explaining. This vegetable has plenty of cyanide, which gives a bitter flavor, you know? It inhibits the taste receptors on a person's tongue, which confuses the flavors and makes anything consumed afterward taste sweeter than it should. And we see to it that Alice explains, like, if you're served dessert after eating a dish made with artichokes, it'll bring out its sweetness even more. So what do you think happens if you eat a bunch of artichokes right before, you know? The flavor is going to go right into the gutter, and it's not going to work, you know, etc. We see to it that Aizen Senpai is trying to use artichokes to ruin Takumi Aldini's dish in terms of taste buds, you know? I mean, it was explained in this episode that if you eat a lot of artichokes or something, then something of the dish after you eat the artichokes, it's going to be a little sweeter. I know it sounds confusing on why I'm trying to explain it in a certain way or recapping it to you guys, but if you guys watch the episode, you'll get the idea. Anyways, let's continue on. We see to it that Aizen Senpai's dish is called the bewitching beef roast whatsoever, and it looks like the judges are actually liking it. Like, it'll go down in history, like they never eaten it with so many artichokes before. And we see to it that Yukihiro Souma would like to give it a taste along with Megumi, you know? And we get to see to it that when Souma ate that dish, he goes like the cream sauce keeps tingling, covering the rich flavor of roast beef whatsoever. And Megumi also adds up that the meat juices pack an incredible punch, yet he managed to vividly highlight the unique depth and bitterness that the veggies have, you know? And we see to it that An ends up explaining this is all due to the cyanide working its magic. It gets rid of any unnecessary sweetness in the dish and helps bring out the cream sauce, you know? And we see to it that one of our characters explained that cyanide directly impacts the taste receptors, and we see to it that Alice explains, like, yeah, it coats the top part of the tongue, which senses sweetness. Like, the sweetness is subdued and the bitterness is sharpened. Like, you know, if there's a lot of cyanide left on the tongue, even water can taste sweet. So and we see to it that, like, so the sweetness of Aldini's shigureni is going to be magnified too. By the time the judges finish eating the pizza, all the cyanide on their tongues would have worn off by now, so it won't affect the deliberation on any of the following dishes. And we see to it that Aizen is taking advantage of that and knew all of those effects and used it to his full advantage. He is truly the epitome of wisdom and wealth. I guess they didn't call him the alchemist for nothing. And there's a chemical reaction, and it's something that she can't escape from. But we see to it that Aldini finished making his pizza, and the star topping of the beef should be beef shigureni, but the other half of his pizza is actually having cheese, which is way too simple than many of the characters are saying. But Souma actually has confidence in him with a smile, knowing that he knows what Takumi Aldini is doing. And therefore, Aldini gives him the dish and asks him, you know, the toppings are clearly split down the middle, but, you know, but we see to it that that Aldini asks him to try the right side of his pizza first, you know, and give it a shot. And we see to it that the judges were not actually affected at all, even after eating a lot of artichokes or something. We get to see to it that Aldini explains, since the sweetness is magnified due to the cyanide, I used the minimum amount of white miso sugar and mirin that I normally use, you know? And I used more of yuzu fruit to bring out tartness. I even grazed the yuzu zet to add in some bitter and acidic notes, you know? I made sure the flavors would still work since you'd eat Aizen Senpai's beef roast first. So, pretty much, Aldini is pretty much saying, in order for things to work out correctly, I needed you to eat Aizen's beef roast first off. And we see to it that one of the judges explained that the flavor is now much more complex than eating just the shigureni alone. And one of the judges explained that they give you a first plate that goes before the second and main dish to help build an anticipation. And An explains, like, in order to make this dish the main plate, you know, Aldini actually used his enemy's dish in the first place, primo piatto whatsoever. So Aizen's dish was nothing more than an opening act for Takumi Aldini's dish. In other cases, without a lot of complications or confusion, Aldini used Aizen's dish as an opening act for his dish to be tasting way better than before. So we see to it that Aizen goes like, don't mess with me, you little brat. I decided to use artichokes to mess up your dish after I saw the shigureni. So I extremely was doing it correctly. So how did you even catch on? How did you even figure out I used artichokes? And Takumi Aldini explains by saying, I knew as soon as our theme was set that you'd be using artichokes. Aizen's like, what are you talking about? And we see to it that Takumi Aldini explains that there were a few things in the food storage facility that could have suppressed sweetness. For example, the fruit that makes sour things taste sweet, miracle fruits. But the effects of the component called miraculin found in this fruit last about 2 hours. But that would interfere with other dishes later on. The only ingredient that wouldn't do that is artichokes. I continue to observe you and traced your thinking. So pretty much he pulled a Mimasaka Subaru on Aizen senpai. Pretty much he watched his move, traced every thought of him, and took it to his advantage. As Aldini further explains, you let yourself lead to pick that ingredient I needed you to pick, just as I planned. And we see to it, like, when Aldini was cooking his dish, he was actually watching Aizen senpai. He's like, out of all the 21 Shokugekis you competed in, number of opponents you crushed by neutralizing the signature flavor was 12. I'm very certain that you will try that once again with me. Now go on, continue with the artichokes, unaware that I've been watching you this whole time. Even all the characters are like, so this is how Aldini figured out, and they never thought he'd be the one to hold a grudge, and the judges end up liking it. They end up saying like, the things he used the effects of the cyanide to his advantage, they both hate each other, undermine, and then the pizza is just great. But Aldini's dish is not done yet, He says like Italian meals don't usually have a third plate, but the remaining half of the pizza is my way of taking all the Italian cuisine I've made up to this point a step forward. It's terzo piatto. And we see to it that Souma compares like Takumi Aldini's dish pizza to the half moon star stuck together. And we see to it that Aldini's brother goes like it's a mezzaluna, And now for my actual dish, the doppio mezzaluna pizza, etc. And the judges end up eating it, and they realize it has 4 kinds of different cheese: mozzarella, parmigiano, gorgonzola, and ricotta. It's a quattro formaggi pizza whatsoever, And he used the right amount for each one. And it matches perfectly with the crispy crust, and the black pepper adds just the right amount of kick. And adds like the contrast between this and the rich sweetness of the shigurani creates a irresistible depth of deliciousness, from the bitterness of the artichoke to the sweetness of the shigurani, and finally the saltiness of the quattro formaggi. And we see to it that Takumi Aldini explained that this is all due to his shigurani pizza would never have been born without its stagia experience and countless tests I've faced and bitter failures I've tasted. It's all thanks to you putting Mimasaka Subaru on my butt. So I have to say, I thank you very much for doing this. And, Aizen senpai gets so upset and he lost, Game over. Perfect! Okay, I know I've been cringy very badly and I've been recapping for a long time. And I know you guys might be thinking this guy's got nuts and bolts. Yep, I am crazy. But anyways, this episode of Shokugeki no Souma, Shin no Sara or something, it's just Megumi lost her battle, but Aldini ends up taking on Aizen senpai, and he ends up using his tactic against him, Like, Aizen ends up using artichokes, but Aldini used those artichokes to heighten his dish's flavor, and bam, defeats Aizen senpai head on, and I'm like, yeah. Aizen senpai, he lost 2 times against first years. First time against Souma, and now a second time against Aldini, who knew and traced his movements and thoughts. Ha ha ha. Aizen, man, you got some nasty losing streak like that, don't you think? Okay, enough of me being cringy, which I always am in most of my videos anyway. I'm gonna end it here, people. Okay, I'm out of breath. I'm very tired. Gotta go take care of some mobile gaming. And until then, I'll see you guys in my next videos for tomorrow. I'm Alpha Zero, people. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot!